Hello, and a very Merry Christmas to those that practice such a holiday. My name is Leicester. I'm your host again on our Christmas special that probably won't go the full length hour. This is on purpose because, of course, it's Christmas and you should be celebrating with your family. Some of us don't have family to celebrate with, and that's why I figured I would go ahead and put a live up in case you want to spend time with Leicester. It's okay if you catch us after the fact as well. A couple of things up front. I'm not happy because it's the Christmas season. It's the season for giving. However, instead of the season for giving, for me, it turned into the season for taking because these jokers stole my freaking table. And one thing I want to do is give a shout out to my poor table that was taken from me by some landscapers that I didn't order. It's part of the reason I'm trying to get the hell out of Nevada, because this is the kind of crap I have to deal with these, as I refer to them as HOA cops, who like to do whatever they're going to do over some dead bushes. And as a result, if you notice, bush right over there, this joker completely ignored it, took off from a freaking table, and I call that work. The bush is gone now, so that's fine. But the point is, he took my freaking table, and he took it after he committed they were going to check in with me to let me know what they were going to take, when, and why, and did not do so. So to my poor table, it only cost me $100. Not too much. But the thing is, that was for packages. It was for food delivery. It was a great way to keep stuff off the ground. And so I'm really not happy that this ended up happening the way that it did. So to my table, and by the way, I did read the regs. Turns out my property company will owe me $100 a day using this here photo, because I'll simply say they stole my property and they didn't check with me. You're not supposed to steal somebody's property when they're still resident in the home and not in violation of the lease, as I'm not in violation of the lease. So I can take that and say, cool, $100 a day, it's a lot of money. So I'm on board going after them. It's going to be all right. It's going to be all right. But for my poor table, he didn't deserve this. He didn't deserve it. It was a fantastic table. Served me very well for many months. I bought it in 2019. So literally the moment I moved in here, that table was there, serving its purpose, keeping stuff off the ground, keeping fresh food fresh, keeping the freaking stray cats away from my amazing food. My poor table's gone. During the giving season, they took my freaking table, and I'm pissed. I'm really not happy about it. Anyhow, let's go ahead and talk about our Lunk Challenge. Lunk Challenge, as to remind, is my attempt to expose the business about what's going on with Luna Classic. And I've got a little bit of chatter and a thing to show here about Luna Classic. It's in a bad spot, ladies and gentlemen. I'm still going to do what I'm doing because I think long-term it'll be something. But I am going to talk about this and say I've got some concerns with this process. But Luna Classic Challenge simply is I'm going to burn cryptocurrency based on activities and behaviors of the channel as I do these weekly lives. So as I'm going to go back now, because I didn't pull it up prior to this, I'm going to go back, run the stats while I do my chatter, see where we're at, and then I'll let you know exactly how much I expect to be burning. I know that the number is going to be roughly about the same as it was before, so I don't expect to have a significant jump, which, that's fine for me. I don't care. This is basically people forcing me, quote unquote, to burn more Luna Classic. I said, it is what it is. If people want me to do it, they want me to do it. If they don't, they don't. And the other thing is there's a couple of updates I'll talk about just briefly as part of a later bit of thing I'm going to show on their Discord for Terror Rebels. This community is probably it's not as bad as Satama. It's not as bad as, some of these other ones, but geez, it's getting to a level of bad that even I did not forecast. I certainly felt it was going to be toxic. I didn't think it was going to be this bad, people. And I know why. It was obvious. And I do think greed started to play a factor, but I also blame the team for them taking the approach they did, which was volunteer upfront, as opposed to just doing it right. Just do it right and stop playing the games. I don't know. To me, I don't know why their approach made any damn sense. Anyhow, so going by the stats, looks like for the Luna Classic Challenge, so it'll be about another $15 a burn. So if you want to watch the wallet, of course, it's on the profile for the Twitter account. There's a link where you can view all the burns that have taken place so far. We're coming up on our $200 mark. Once again, to remind people, I don't run ads on my YouTube channel. I don't run ads on my podcast. I do it out of pocket because I'm part of the community and I don't mind doing it. Whereas others, they aren't really about it. I'll be talking about that here momentarily. With that said, let's jump into a couple of different things, right? So we may or may not have people stop by. It's okay if we don't. I understand it's Christmas. I don't actually expect anybody to drop by. So people will probably catch this later. If they do view the video, that's perfectly fine. No problem. I want to talk about crypto and I want to talk about prices because I noticed a couple things and they derailed some plans, not for me, but for other people. I said if Ethereum drops beneath $900, I would do live karaoke on the YouTube channel. Immediately, I saw that we were in a really tough spot. All of a sudden, Ethereum started running. Not only did it start running, it has a very good long-term projection to it that tells me that we maybe, coming to a point of strong upward movement. I have Ethereum pulled up. And of course, I look at the month graph because the month graph gives me an opportunity to see velocity and direction. If you notice, there's more green than red. This for me, usually, and I'm giving you a bunch of qualifiers because I know there's going to be other YouTubers who will emphatically disagree with me, and that's great. When I see more green than red on my monthly graph, usually it means good things. Usually it means that over the long haul, we are en route to good things to come potentially in 2023. This to me, when I looked at the numbers, when I ran the raw numbers of this business and saw, so we had this crap and then it was able to recover pretty darn strong. We only lost like $90 here. When I saw this, I'm like, you know what? This means we might be at the point where we finally got rid of all the negativity. We finally got rid of all the sell-off. We finally are poised and positioned for an upward run. Maybe. I'm stressing maybe because, of course, there could be another poof hair or something else that comes out that kills the business. It is entirely possible and plausible. And I would remind people, we're still nowhere close to the recovery we should have from the beginning of 2022. So even if it does go up, we're not necessarily out of it. We still have more climb to go. But on an up note, when I watch the momentum and I watch the direction, I watch everything's going, everything looks great for 2023 in terms of regrowth, getting back what we lost, starting to set momentum where it's possible. FOMO can help us get over that hurdle. So then I put some projections. Let's spitball this. I previously said that Q1 looked like absolute garbage and looked like we were in a rough spot. I actually queued up the song I was going to sing to you. And then all of a sudden, rich people started dumping money in this business to avoid liquidations, presumably. Thank you, rich people. Listen, I don't mind singing. It's cool. You can hear how my voice sounds. I don't mind singing. But for now, because I'm doing the move and everything else I'm doing, I wanted to focus on what I've got going. And the rich people came through and everybody benefits, right? We all benefit. If the rich people throw their money at projects, all of us pay, we all get paid. We all benefit from it. So I was cool with this. I did not want to have any sort of issue or any sort of problem or any sort of fiasco or anything break or trash or any of that kind of stuff. I said, let's just go on. Let's just keep going. Let's just move on. Well, Ethereum, I'm going to spitball. I think Ethereum might actually get back up to the 2,000 mark. I think it might get high enough to where we can test another high. The high is going to be a little bit lower than that, but I think it can get as high as 2,000. When we hit 2,000, I think that's where we really have to test and see if we can go up higher. And if we can get past 2,000, we might, stress might, there's that qualifier again, we might be able to move a little bit higher. We might be able to move a little bit faster. We might be able to see positive sentiment come back in, assuming we don't get another poof hair that derails our progress. This excites me because of the potential where we could be and the potential where we could go. I can't give you any assurances of anything. I can only go off what I see. And once again, I'm sure that every other YouTuber out there will emphatically disagree with me. Great. Let's just play it out, see who gets it right or wrong. I actually hope that it goes up. I would be depressed, frankly, if others are welcoming a crap. I know they want to kind of stack bags, right? I understand. But for me, no, I'd rather see some upward movement. I think it's about time. I think we have to get to the point where there's some run of some kind, because if we don't get it and it does go down, as I previously predicted, I think it'll be hard for it to get out of that hole. I think Ethereum will be fine long term. But I think in the short term, I think it's going to be really difficult to get out of that hole, at least in the long and short of it all. And then Bitcoin, which I don't really pay attention to, but Bitcoin, if you look at its month chart, basically same thing. You see more green than you see more red, which to me usually indicates that it's on its way to getting back to some level of sanity. But I also said that it feels like Ethereum has a stronger potential of going on a higher run than what Bitcoin can do. When I looked at the graph in kind of the macro level, the big picture level, Bitcoin is no longer at that point of, oh, geez, it's going to go beneath 10. Nowhere close to that. Does seem it's going to go up, just not as much as Ethereum. So Bitcoin is also in a good position if anybody wants to invest in Bitcoin and kind of stick with something that's reasonably safe. Remember, Bitcoin is largely considered a commodity by every single government out there. Bitcoin is being adopted by governments across the globe. Bitcoin is largely insulated from the control and the influence that we see of other cryptocurrencies, especially with the Gary Genslers of the world. Where Bitcoin runs into problems is where they try to short it, or there's massive dumps like what happened with Elon and Tesla. Those do influence the price of Bitcoin. However, the fact that Bitcoin's even at the point at this level of recovery that we're seeing now tells me that there's still somewhat of a bullish sentiment, just not strong bullish yet. And it might be that there are people who are stacking bags kind of behind the scenes over time. They stack. Then it gets to like, say, 20,000, right? And then some company will come out and say, yeah, we just bought some Bitcoin, deep. When truth is, they were stacking bags since the thing was at $13,000, right? We know the game. We know the game and how it's played. I have no problem with that, right? Because it helps everybody, once again. And Bitcoin, for the most part, not total, for the most part, is going to be the one that's going to weather the storm no matter what happens. Ethereum's going to have some challenges because it's proof of stake, and we don't know what's going to happen with the Gary Genslers of the world. Bitcoin doesn't really have those issues. Bitcoin's main issue is price accessibility. I think as more people realize, Bitcoin's price is not a hindrance, it's actually a help, and there's more ways to invest in it, as Fidelity and Schwab and others allow you to invest in it without the direct risk associated to it. You don't have to directly hold it. Now I think that's going to be the road forward for all of it. I think it's exciting times. Plus, we have to see what happens once most of the Bitcoin, almost all of it has been mined, which is going to take a long time. We got years before we've mined all the Bitcoin available. We have to see how that plays. We have to see what happens with energy and deep, and all the lockdowns of mining equipment. And, out there, I believe it was China talking about, we're going to prevent you from doing this. And we have to see what that looks like. But it may cause a hoarding situation. It may cause a major sellout situation. The future's unknown. But right now, everything's looking good to me, at least. And I may be singular in that opinion, and that's perfectly okay. I don't mind being singular. I don't mind being the sole man out. So now, when I looked at the numbers and I'm feeling like, okay, we got some good stuff happening here. I'm feeling good. Everything's all great. Then the next thing I know, I was asked to do a coverage of a project, and I didn't want to do it. I understand why they're asking, because I've done at least partial coverage before. And they even said that, they appreciated my coverage from before on this. And I was hoping I was done. I wanted to be done. It's like I wanted to be free falling, Tom Petty. I didn't want to have to keep rehashing this again, because it felt like, man, this project is just crap. And unfortunately, because of, presumably just, credibility, let's say, it's like this person said, I watch what you do. I like what you do. I'm a fan of the coverage that you do and the way you do. And, I'd like you to cover this. I said, I'm a podcast for the people. It is what it is. The only time I've ever said no is when it's got Pulse in the name, or it's a hex, and it's only because of the SEC stuff and the uncertainty of things. So I got to do it just because it is what I am. I'm going to go ahead and do it. And I want to give him a shout out and just kind of talk about it real quick, and then we'll go to our next deal here. User Johnson Carl 1 says, quote, wondering what your thoughts are of the recently rebranded SafuuX's Vulcan blockchain. With it being the first auto-rebasing layer 1 blockchain, does it have a chance to succeed? Love your videos and Merry Christmas. And to Johnson Carl, a very Merry Christmas to you as well. I responded to him. He responded back and ultimately pretty much agreed with my assessment, or at least couldn't disagree. I should be more fair because it was, it was so obvious. It was so easy. Like this won't even be a swag because even if I wanted to swag, I couldn't. For those that don't know, SafuuX's is from the car salesman of Safu, where allegedly they're going to create a blockchain called SafuuX's. And I guess they did some name change to Vulcan. I don't know the innards. I'm not in their telescam and I don't follow it because it's car salesman. But I did one last coverage and I said, look, this guy said he wasn't going to take from the treasury. No, whatever. No sells from the treasury. And then all of a sudden turned around and dumped out the treasury. And I said, look, you're beyond help if you're trusting this dude, man, because he just lied straight to your face and people still made excuses. And I just said, look, I can't just. So then SafuuX's, I said I wasn't sold. I don't know what the deal is. Okay, Johnson Carl 1 wants to take a look. So if you know how I do coverage, I do it very methodical. So I'm not, again, it's not about telescam. It's not about profit. It's not about claims. I want to see proof. You got to prove it out. I want to see evidence of what you're saying to be the truth. And if you don't show me evidence, I'm not sold. That's just how I work. So I looked at recent coin. Recentcoin.com is a place you can go to understand coins that were recently released. Based on the numbers I see, I'm reasonably confident this is probably the SafuuX's token, presumably to be used as the gas coin for this alleged SafuuX's blockchain, because I see a market cap of 800,000. I see a price of roughly $8, which correlates to the price that was quoted by the car salesman and their team. There's 16 addresses already holding it. That's a little bit of a concern. However, you got deployer wallets and you got marketing wallets and all this garbage. So it's whatever. I saw there was a little bit of transactional stuff happening even early. I know there was the sacrifice stuff. I'm not going to go into details about this, but I'm pretty confident this is that same deal. Now, I automatically saw discrepancies in the quotes for the holder count because this claims that pretty much the vast majority was sent to a dead wallet, right? This is the dead wallet, burn. And then there's one holder address here and it's only got 4 million tokens. Okay, off of 100 million total supply. Okay, if I go elsewhere, I see discrepancies in that count. Well, then I go a little bit deeper and I look at this from the Safu Git book, their garbage Git book, where it's talking about SafuuX's chain to be clear. And a lot of this is unique text, as in it was not copy pasted. So it wasn't like that other garbage. I forget what that was. They didn't copy paste this. This is all unique stuff where they're talking about nodes and they're talking about staking, the governance. They put a generic graph that doesn't really mean anything. This is generic. So I didn't see anything that stood out to me. They go into details about the DEX that they plan to do and a SafuuX's swap and all this that they plan to build. And then the native token, fixed rebasing. Of course, the whole claim is that it's the first auto rebasing layer 1 blockchain. Fixed APRs, APYs, tax structures, and all this all good stuff. Then the generic tokenomics. Here's where flag 1 came up. Total max supply, 375 billion, but an initial of 375 million. Total availability from sacrifice, 300 million. Now, just to clarify, this page says 100 million, and it already has an $800 million market cap. So now let's think this through. If it already has an $800 million market cap, those funds had to come from somewhere, even in fully diluted. Even if fully diluted, there has to be something that was built in order to even calculate it this high. And it's not just the raw tokens. There has to be some sort of liquidity, some sort of something it's looking at to at least try to calculate a fully diluted. If it's a brand new token, you're not going to be able to do anything hardly with this. And the price has to be set off something. Usually, not always, but usually that price is usually set off liquidity pools. Well, this says there's no liquidity on PancakeSwap. This is, of course, a Binance Smart Chain token. No problem. So it's possible that there is some coin out there that's SafuuX's somewhere else that's being misread. That's possible. It's not on the Binance Smart Chain. No problem. I would then question where all these sacrifices actually going. I'm not doing chain analysis. I'm saying that Based on the numbers I see, there's likely some correlation. I just can't say what it is or cannot prove it. And because of the discrepancy, I'm a little bit concerned, especially when I see the prices dastardly close to the one I just saw over there. Something's a little bit skittish. I don't know what it is. Avoiding hyperinflation stuff. Remember the original Safu talked about this. Avoiding hyperinflation didn't work. They printed and printed and printed because it happened. It happens to all of them. Achieving hyperdeflation. And then it talks about the fire pit. Safu also had a fire pit. Didn't work. Didn't work. The price went as high as $330 a coin and token and then crapped all the way down to a few cents. It doesn't, these are likely copy paste, not directly when they may tweak some text, but straight from Safu itself. That's fine. But if we know that this stuff didn't work, if we know that the concept of a fire pit didn't work and we're doing it again, okay. If we know that this hyperinflation deal didn't work and we're doing it again, okay, all right. So then there's this, they did a marketing blitz. They sent out all this to all these, and they paid for these. They sent all these blitzes and say, it's coming, here's what we're doing, with a bunch of garbage art that they got from sites, a bunch of crap, saying, here's all the great stuff we're going to be doing, a dupe. And then, after seeing how successful the initial project was, of course, we're talking about the initial pump to 330 and then not talking about the crap down to a few cents. Quote, it was obvious that expanding the concept into a full-fledged layer 1 blockchain was the natural progression of the protocol, says car salesman, the CEO of Safu. This is an entirely new concept, something never seen in DeFi, and we have a lot of additional features and benefits that we will announce in the near future, he added. Of course, LockPay with Car Salesman 2.0 did the same thing of never seen this before, new concept, and none of it worked. None of it worked out. Oh, all right. Starting October 20th, there'll be a sacrifice event. And of course, they did start some of the sacrifices. Some people on Twitter said, I'm trying to do the sacrifice. It's not working. I don't know what to do. How do I make this work? And I don't know what came of it, but apparently it didn't work. Earliest sacrifice on day 1 will be eligible for 50% multiplier. Okay, that's what it is. And initial tokenomics. Then it said, for more information about this, visit the website. If you try to visit this website, guess what happens? Site not found. Not published. Doesn't have a domain assigned to it. It does have a domain because I just hit the domain, but there's no site. There's no website. So they sent out this marketing blitz directing people to a site that doesn't really exist, which means they couldn't be arsed to make sure the site was actually functional. Now, if you hit the DApp, which is dapp.SafuuX.com, that works perfectly fine. It says Vulcan, and it looks like it's a third-party outsourced something. But the main front website doesn't even work. Here's the thing. Let me just tell you some things. And you may not know this. If you're new, I welcome you, by the way. You may not know this. Leicester, which is me at cryptotalkradio.net. We have 3 podcasts in our network. All 3 of them have a site. I built all 3 of those. CTR, the main brand, has a site. I built that one as well. We also have Triad Crypto, which is a subsidiary of Crypto Talk Radio. It has a site. I built that from scratch. Triad Crypto has a member portal. I built that from scratch. We also have a different member portal that's a package solution, but I customize it myself. All of them are running. All of them are accessible. You can always hit cryptotalkradio.net, and cryptotalkradio.net links you to our Discord, links you to our Facebook, links you to our Twitch, links you to our Twitter, links you to our YouTube. You also can access our YouTube as embedded streams. You also can access BitChute, Rumble, Odyssey. I manage all that solamente. I question anybody why it is that one person can seem to do what Car Salesman and his team can't do. If you can't make your main website work, why should we be convinced that you can make a layer 1 blockchain work? Now, he may be outsourcing the blockchain. Great. But if you're outsourcing the blockchain was actually supposed to be live months ago. What happened? What went wrong? And where's people's money? I understand the sacrifice. That's fine. The point is, when the first thing people see outside of that crypto bubble, when the first thing they see is that your site doesn't even freaking work, people are going to assume that it's dead in the water. They're going to assume it ain't a thing. You're assuming people go to your telescam, which, as I've said, people outside that bubble do not go to telescam, would not go to telescam, will not go to telescam, especially if they're United States. You have to have a front-facing website so you have presence for your people. And if you don't, people are going to be sketchy. I'll show you what I'm talking about. Triad Crypto. Leicester built this site by himself. Triad Cryptocurrency. Look how amazing and beautiful this is. Fully functional, fully responsive. And look at that. Me back in the 70s. At some point, though, man, why can one person do that and his team with the millions and millions of dollars that they've accumulated from people, they can't manage to keep the freaking site running? They can't manage to make a site actually work. It's not that they can't, it's that they don't care. And because they don't care, they're not going to appeal to the people outside the bubble. Chances are what's going to happen is what people have theorized is going to happen is that people are going to FOMO off of whatever. Here's another press release they paid for around that same time of August, where they're going to see all this and say, oh, it's Yahoo. I guess it means something. Same text, right? This is the same as that quote. So it's the same thing they paid for distribution on. They're going to FOMO off this thing and it's going to do the same thing. One of two things will come out. Either they'll launch a blockchain or they won't. If they do launch a blockchain, what good is it if nobody's on it? If no developers do it because they think you're scum, which is the common messaging on social media right now, what good is it? If nobody uses it in terms of consumers, what good is it? If you're just going to do a bunch of pumps like you did with Safu and it craps, what good was it? And it ends up dying off, as many of them do. Not everything has to be a blockchain. Let's be clear. To me, if you're just doing a blockchain just because of the rebase, that's not really a strong utility. If you're going to do a blockchain, it should actually have some utility outside of profit, because it's not just about profit. There are tons of blockchains. You have to stand out in that crowd. And I question you'll be able to stand out in the crowd. From my eyes, I don't see that you're going to be able to do it. I certainly don't see that you're going to be able to pull off a layer 1 doing it. Perhaps if it was a layer 2, but a layer 1? So from my angle, for Johnson Carl 1, because they don't actually have a freaking functioning website, I'm already skeptical. But don't listen to me. bscheck.eu says if that one that's on the Binance Smart Chain is in any way associated to SafuuX, and I can't say it is, I'm saying if it is, these guys seem to think it's a scam. That's what they seem to think here. Liquidity concerns, which, based on these supply numbers, would correlate to why I'm seeing a significantly high market cap, fully diluted. That would explain it if there's all these tokens that are not being expressed in the site that I saw. I don't know that this is or isn't associated to it. I'm saying if it is, somehow they seem to think it's a scam. All I cared about was the fact that their site doesn't freaking work. And if they can't keep the front-facing site working, I'm less likely to trust them with anything else because, again, one person can do what they can't do. I mean, I don't know what that's all about. So hopefully that's been helpful. That's my thoughts is I'm not sold because of the person who runs the business. I don't know what the deal is. Time will have to tell. And ultimately, you have to let them kind of process it. You have to let them succeed or fail. I can't say that they will succeed or will fail. I don't know. Let's talk about Terra Luna, Terra Rebels. This is their Discord channel. Their whole situation is in bad shape. I'm not going to bore you reading this. I am going to tell you that ultimately, at the end of the day, something happened where devs left the project. I don't know the specifics, don't care. Devs left the project for Terra Rebels. There are other developers out there that are trying to help the project. But long time ago, these guys allowed, unfortunately, they welcomed in Telescam folks because they opened up a Telescam, welcomed Telescam folks, and everything else went to hell from there because you had a bunch of people who didn't want to pay these people. They didn't want to get any money. The devs wanted to get paid because of the work they were doing, because they're doing development level work, right? Well, as a developer myself, as you just showed, it's reasonable to want to get paid. I blame Terra Rebels for not upfront saying, we'll do it, but we want to get paid upfront. And then take donations from the community because they offered it. The community actually offered it. Unfortunately, later, they said, no, I will just do volunteer. Okay, people hold them to it. Then all of a sudden, we need money here. This is a perfect example of when I say communities kill projects, when the community turns toxic, when the devs, they make silly, stupid mistakes like Lily Finance, which I ain't going to talk about in this one. This is what I'm talking about, folks. It's bad. You know, it's bad. It's horrible when you see it over and over again. And I don't know what's going to happen with, I do think Little Classic will be something simply because it has a general sentiment positive. But as part of this whole fiasco, right? Classy Crypto, you may know him from YouTube. He set up a validator, Class E something, something or other. And then there's Happy Cat Crypto, Happy Catty Crypto. I'm a big fan of his. Lunk Nymph, shout out to her. I'm a big fan of hers. There's a couple of them out there that are just regular so-called influencers, quote unquote. Well, Class E apparently had set up his validation because he wanted to make some extra money on the side. And I don't know if he got attacked. I don't know what I don't follow this stuff, but he came out recently and he said, apparently my priority was wrong. And so we're going to burn our commissions and contribute to the community. Doop. And anybody that's been listening to my weeklies knows I've been doing the freaking lung challenge for weeks now. And I said, why is it that some of these other ones are making major bank and they're not burning cryptocurrency? Are they really about it? Are they really part of the community? Or are they just greed driven? I don't know that answer. I'm saying that for me anyway, I was concerned for the overall progress of what was going on and hoping I could inspire it. The burn is the right answer, but does it need to be that we tax everybody up to almost cussed up to yin yang? Or can we simply just as a community take it upon ourselves to do a little bit of burn? And if you took just what I burn, like I said, this past one's $15. There's how many people in the freaking community right now? If all of them were to burn $15 a week, are we saying people spend more than that on, almost cussed again, freaking Starbucks, freaking cigarettes, alcohol, garbage? They spend more than that. And we're saying that if I took just tens of thousands of people and they can't burn $15 a week to show that they're about it, to show that they're part of the community. I get it. People are greedy. They want to make money, not burn money. It means you're not about it. It means it can never succeed because you can't just have where one person's doing it and nobody else wants to do it. That's what got SHIB in trouble. SHIB, they were in denial for years at this point, and still kind of sort of are. It wasn't ever going to go anywhere unless the people started burning their own. Once they started burning their own, it still ain't going to make a dent, but at least you're showing some progress towards a goal. That's where Luna Classic is right now. That's where USTC is right now. And there's proposal to try to repeg USDC and do it in stages, and those are being rejected. I would love to see something like that. Do I think it will happen? Yes. Do I know when? No, probably years from now. And that's sad because Luna Classic, of all of the ones recently, I've said it's like the Park Place. It has the strongest potential to be something. We have to see what happens with this run. If Bitcoin and Ethereum go on a run, it's possible that just by proxy, at least Bitcoin, by proxy, we start seeing upward trends and upward movements. I want to see what that looks like. I want to see how that goes. If we do get some sanity back into the ecosystem, as it stands right now, I'm really, really concerned. And I shouldn't be. I shouldn't be at this point where I'm thinking, oh, geez, this ain't gonna work. I don't think it'll crash. I just think it's unfortunate that we have to deal with this garbage. Last point, and then I'll wrap up as we wrap up our Christmas episode. And, I used to like the dollar, now I like these NFTs. They're bigly. Trump's NFTs did the pump, and I said they're garbage and they're crap. Then they dumped, as expected. All of them do it, pump and dump. Mainstream media jumped on the fact that it dumped and said, see, this is why it doesn't work, and see, nobody likes Trump, and see this and all that, the other. And all that did was gave him some free publicity because then he started pumping again. Now, mind you, there's a lot of scandal around these NFTs. People are thinking, you know what, is this, are these used images that you stole and you didn't really buy them, that nobody to prove this? There's all this smoke around the signature I called out. There's all this stuff. I don't know. I don't know where. I think people just bought because they knew it was going to 2x minimum because it's freaking Trump. That's what I think. Well, Trump seems to agree with me because Trump himself says, yeah, you're sort of cute. It's not about the money. We know better. Smart people know better. We know it was about the money. He claims it was not about the money. He said it was cute. This dude, when I was True Social, was pitching these things. He was heavily pitching these things. He said, no, these NFTs buy them, they're gonna sell out bigly. He went crazy on this stuff. And now he's talking about, well, I knew nothing about him. And the group came and loved the art. They showed me the art. This is direct quote, by the way, right there. Right there. Feigning ignorance about it. Mainstream media jumped on it. They helped this thing climb to unreasonable highs because they were pushing and hyping this garbage. Because it's garbage. I said they're garbage. The art's garbage. But people knew they were going to 2x minimum. And again, remember, he gets 10% or him and his group get 10% on every sell, whether it's free market sell or OpenSea sell. 10% is flowing in there. My point is, right here, Joey Garrison, quote, this Trump car is now selling for 24 grand. The one of just him emulating the Statue of Liberty, 24 grand. Now, see, the person that was behind the art, they missed a key opportunity. They missed a key opportunity because there was an artist. He did an art of Trump grabbing the, of the Lady Liberty. That should have been an NFT. That one would have sold out like crazy. No vision, no foresight, no business sense, no business acumen to leverage this. Now, of course, he didn't need Trump's approval to do that. You could just do it on the side on your own because it wasn't using his likeness. It's art. It's fair game. Lost. So, quote, I'm looking at this stuff and I'm saying, wow, that's sort of cute. And that might sell. That might sell. They thought it was selling 6 months. It sold in 6 hours. This is, so, and it sold so much because, unfortunately, mainstream media jumped on it as they always do. Because when Trump left Twitter, all of a sudden, mainstream had nothing to talk about. And you started seeing their ratings start to go in the crapper. When Biden went in office, despite all the gaffes he was doing, nobody was talking about that. Their ratings go in the crapper. The moment Trump does or farts, right, it's got to be mainstream coverage of everything Trump, anything Ivanka, anything Junior, just coverage. When his ex-wife died, coverage. Look at where he buried her, because Trump moves Bleaves likes to say, Satama moves the needle, Trump moves the needle. Mainstream knew this. They jumped on the NFT when it crapped, and they just caused more pumps of the garbage, straight garbage, because all they're doing is enriching crap, frankly, because the NFTs are crap. Even he's admitting they're crap, and he knew they'd be crap, but he knew they would sell. Well, listen to the world that we're in, folks. And of course, there's a utility behind it in the sense that you can win, go golfing with Trump or dinner with Trump, and there's all these things behind it. There's tangible somethings behind it. My point is that the art's crap, and the precedent it sets for the fact that it got as high as it did is damaging. Now, of course, I think Bored Apes are crap, but there's stuff behind that too. I think it's crap art, though. I'm talking the art. There's no inspiration to any of it. Meanwhile, the right artists that put out good art are doing NFTs. Video games are not doing NFTs like they should to support, what we currently call loot boxes, right? We could change the business. Sega could change the business. Sega could get back into consoles if they were smart enough and had the right people, not idiots, if they had the right people in front of it to actually create NFTs that would support getting away from DLC or transform it at minimum. Can you imagine a world where as part of a game that you're going to, let's take the Matrix, right? Matrix Resurrections, which was crap, I know. But let's just, as an example, when Matrix, the original one, and then Matrix Reloaded, Matrix Revolution, right? They come out, they had Enter the Matrix, they had the other Matrix game, I forget what the name of it was. All these Matrix games, they have the Matrix movies, the Animatrix set, they got all this stuff they're doing. Could you imagine with Animatrix, just Animatrix alone, could you imagine if they did collectible NFTs around Animatrix when Matrix was hot, when Matrix was unstoppable? They made the phone. They made that phone, that cell phone, and it sold out like crazy because Matrix was hot. Resurrections, right? Leading up to it, nobody knew it's crap at this point. Nobody knows it's garbage. Could you imagine if they were smart enough to actually make NFTs leading up to that event? They could have done what Keanu Inu failed to do, leveraging an NFT process and make major amounts of bank and then tie it to physical things, tie it to actual physical things. Make NFTs that actually allow you to meet Keanu Reeves. Make NFTs that actually allow you to meet Lawrence Fishburne. Make NFTs that actually allow you to watch live as they record the freaking movie. Make NFTs that allow you to leverage some of these assets that they have on the movie side. Make NFTs that give you a free copy of the game, that game that was kind of a proof of concept, but it was a tech demo. Make NFTs that allow you to have access to these things in the gaming realm. I'm cool with that, not just crap for the sake of crap. And that's my big beef with NFTs, always has been, always will be, is they're all crap in my mind because none of them are using outside the bubble thinking to leverage why people should buy them and tie them to physical assets and truly renovate the business that they're in. And gaming is a natural fit to this, and nobody has leveraged it. Nobody's leveraged it. I talked about Valkyrie Crusade years ago. I was playing that back in 2013. Valkyrie Crusade would have been perfect for NFTs, would have made millions and millions of dollars, no foresight, no future state. They killed the game just before NFTs started to get hot. No vision whatsoever. And that's the problem with gaming. That's the problem with mobile gaming, which is crap overall. That's the crap problem with all this. Like if I look at my Switch, I play my Switch more than anything I have. I have a PS5. It sits there. Don't play it. Don't touch it because it's garbage. I have PC. I play PC games every now and then, but the Switch gets way more traction. We're about to have a new Fire Emblem game. Fire Emblem has amiibo cards. You can tie the freaking NFTs to amiibos. So much potential wasted, and that's frustrating. And so I'm disgusted to see, like you see here, NFT over $1 million for nothing but crap artwork. It's not even about the person in it. It's crap artwork. This isn't NFT worthy to me. We're not talking Mona Lisa level artwork. We're not talking amazing level arts. We're not talking something tied to strong utility. We're talking cult, essentially, cult support of a thing. And that's what NFTs have become. That's what cryptocurrencies have become. And it's the reason you get something like a SafuuX's having anybody's eyes on the damn thing, because it's cult narratives. It's the reason why Lily Finance had believers all the way up to the very last minute, despite strong evidence it wasn't going to happen. It's the reason why Saitama went into the crap hole it did, because cult narrative. It's the reason why there's a cult type token, because that's what people are wanting to be, is part of a cult. And it's sad. It's unfortunate. Anyway, I'm going to shut up and see if anybody has any questions, comments, feedback, suggestions, or otherwise before I get back to my wrapping up of my move. By the way, I did get Twitch sorted out. Took some hack software. I don't like that I had to do hack software, but I did get Twitch sorted out, and Twitch is working amazing. So, and to be fair, YouTube hasn't yelled at me once. So this software is pretty darn cool. So now I just got to tweak the last pieces of it to use it full time. But it's been working pretty good. And for those that didn't know, by the way, I'll just put this in here so it's recorded. So our next recording is on the 1st, and that's on January, and I will be recording, even though it's New Year's, I will be recording. The one after that is the 8th. I will not be recording on that day. I'll probably be recording on Friday, the 6th is my guess, because I'll be expected to be on the road the weekend, 7th and the 8th, so that I can get to my new place, get early to the hotel the night of the 8th or the morning of the 9th, and then I need to settle in, get all my stuff, and get ready for my new place on the 10th. So the next one on the 1st, I will be same Sunday. The 8th, though, I will not be. It'll probably be that Friday is my guess. And if it is that Friday, it'll have to be early. It'll have to be, well, I have to time it because I'm going to be on the road Friday night. So probably around 6 or 7 or 8, maybe 6 or 7 p.m. Pacific time on the 6th will be the one after this one. Once I'm in the new place, then we'll test whether Sunday still makes sense going forward for the new place, because I won't be in the alley anymore. So I won't know if I've got annoying neighbors or not until I'm there and I've kind of settled in there. But we'll time it, we'll piece it out. Looks like we don't have any comments, questions, suggestions, or etc. I want to thank you for those that did happen to join us on this Christmas. Merry Christmas to you. Once again, we'll be back on the 1st. You think of anything after the fact, feel free to leave in the comments below. They will be screened for spam because there are some weird spammers showing up, and then they'll be released once I've had a chance to review them. And this next coming week, I will have an interim episode that I'll be doing based on a topic that has come to my attention that I want to talk about before the next weekly. And then the next weekly, of course, we'll be back to regular schedule. So until then, try to stay warm. If you're in a very cold place, as I happen to be, try to stay warm. And most importantly, take care of your people. or anything. Don't get trapped, because although crypto's looking better, we can't say it's going to be out of the crap hole that it's in until more time's passed. I want people to stay safe, but also remember, it's not worth it, in my opinion anyway. You are free to do what you want to be with your money. If you want to be a gambler, that's cool. I'm saying, to me, I don't think it's worth it. And I think it's better to keep everybody safe, keep a roof over your head, keep food over your table, right? Hopefully you bought Christmas presents for people and didn't YOLO into some garbage. Anyway, see ya.